Oh, hey, what's happening there, YouTube? It's Brian House here for Housework, and today we are going to be taking that inexpensive Chinese VFD and we are going to put it through its paces. But first and foremost, I actually wanted to show you how a VFD is wired up. There have been numerous pieces of email and contact with me on Facebook and Instagram about people who are confused about what that looks like and why I recommend a three-phase motor in the United States when there's very few people that actually have three-phase power in their workshop or their garage. Well, that will all kind of make sense after I make this next statement. A VFD is actually run by single-phase power, okay? So single phase coming into your house or workshop, it goes into the VFD, and then on the other side, on the way out to the motor, it's actually converted to three-phase, which sounds a lot complicated. It sounds very complicated, but in fact, it is not complicated. It's been done by numerous manufacturers for a very long time. And again, I know a lot of you still feel very strongly about using a single-phase motor for variable speeds. And you can continue doing that. It's just not my preference. In fact, it's not recommended, and I feel like you shouldn't do it, but that's just my opinion, and hey, whatever, it is what it is. The concept here is three-phase motor powered by a single-phase VFD that converts power to three-phase, okay? And that can be done relatively inexpensively with a VFD you can get on Amazon. In fact, I'm going to create a link down below where you can find this VFD, the one that we're testing today. And it significantly drops the price of the Revolution 2x72 belt grinder build, which is the ultimate incentive for me to do this, is to encourage you, if you are interested in building the Revolution 2x72 belt grinder, if that were a piece of the puzzle that you really couldn't wrap your mind around, A, being that you don't have three-phase power, you only have single phase, and B, the cost of the KBAC 27D VFD that I recommend is quite high. It's about $360 at the filming of this event here that we're doing. So you know my philosophy, buy once, cry once, right? But a lot of you have asked, is there a cheaper way to control these motors? Or a lot of you have gone the other direction and said, I'm going to use a treadmill motor, which I've done in the past. I've had experience with that. To try to reduce the cost of building the Revolution. And, my take on DC motors, again, this is not a very popular opinion, but DC motors are only good as long as you can filter the air going into them, and they're really not that much more inexpensive. In fact, if you had to buy one new, you would agree with me. Now, they're readily available if you can find old treadmills and you're willing to do that work and everything else, and I 100% agree with that if you want to try that. But the motor is $165, brand new AC motor, shipped to your door from Automation Direct. And now with this cheaper VFD from China through Amazon, that's another less than $100. So you're looking at $270 out the door, shipped to your house for a powertrain, a 2-horsepower powertrain for the Revolution 2x72. You can't convince me that isn't an awesome setup, right? So if this actually works, then this drastically reduces the cost of building the Revolution, which again is ultimately my incentive for doing this test. Now, if it were me, I would always buy the KBAC 27D. That is the preferred. It's sealed. It's a good quality American-made product. I really like it, and I think it should be used. But if you want to try and get the cost down of this build or any 2x72 belt grinder build, you can go with this inexpensive Chinese VFD. So without further ado, let's actually get started. You've been watching a little bit of the time lapses of me wiring this thing up. It's a very simple process. The wire that we use is bought from Home Depot. The plug end, which is the Leviton 220 plug end, that again purchased at Home Depot, very easily, readily available. And 3 wires on one side coming from the wall outlet, and 4 wires coming out of the VFD and into the motor. Okay, so at this point we got to pull out the instructions. This looks fairly complicated, but really the reality of it is you only really need to know what's on this little piece right here. So we're going to go ahead. And that's all we need. Right there. Single phase to 3-phase output. I get a lot of questions about this. A lot of people say, oh, I want to build your grinder, but I don't have 3-phase power in my workshop or my garage. And you actually don't need it. This device right here will convert single-phase electricity to 3-phase, as it says right here, single phase to 3-phase. So what it does is it takes single-phase power from here, coming from your wall outlet, and converts it on the output to 3-phase. That way you can have a variable speed motor. A lot of people like to argue with me about single-phase motors being variable speed. Feel free to continue the argument. I won't continue to have it with you. 3-phase is the way to go. So as you can see here, L and N are the hot inputs, and it doesn't really matter what color you pick. It's going to be white or black, and they're interchangeable. And then you've got this. It doesn't really list it on this instruction manual, but right over here on the left is going to be your ground. Far left is going to be the ground. Right there where all that Chinese writing is. I don't understand it, but I am guessing that's the ground. So here's a little trick I do. I take my round crimp-ons here, and then I grind off the little edges here so that they'll fit down inside of the cavity there between these those pieces of plastic. I also like to take these real bulky shields off and use the shrink wrap. I think that's much cleaner way of doing it, and you can ensure that you actually get a good crimp. Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. These 3 wires are on the motor. They aren't connected to shore power at all. So just black, gray, and yellow. They all get bound together and shoved back into the container there. On the black lead, you've got the black and yellow and the orange. On the white lead, you've got this lavender purple color, this brown color on the white lead, and on the red lead you've got the red and white from the motor. And obviously the ground, it gets wired back into the frame here. We'll do that in a minute. And what I like to do on these is to put some sort of a dust shield on this, but for this training purpose, I will just go ahead and leave it as is. So as you can see, we've got white on W, red on V, and black goes on U. On this piece of paper, it's upside down, so, well, it's not even really upside down. Terrible instructions, but white, red, and black. However, your terminals may have different letters on them, so just pay attention. Okay, I'm gonna go plug this bad boy in and see what we got. Well, let's hit run, see what happens. Right out of the gate, it works. %. All right, let's see about reverse. Hey, all right. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Let's hit reverse again. I like that. I like that feature. And stop. Well, there you have it. It's actually not too bad. Of course, we need to load test it and all, but so far so good. I feel very confident that this is a good solution for a cheaper VFD. Now, will it stand the test of time? A lot of you have emailed me and said yes, and I'm encouraged by that. However, until I put it through its paces, which is hooking it up to an actual grinder, we won't fully know. So that'll be the next step, where we just run it, and see if we can make it fail. I do like this dial. I like the fact that this pops out and that we'll be able to create a remote setting for, or setup for this. I think that's pretty cool. I also really like the fact that I can, the knob is a little small, but I like that it's, you know, it's got the switch already on it. Hondo %. She is cruising. Which it says 65 on here, which I believe is the hertz. Very cool. Stop. All right. So far, I'm impressed. All right, so we've got the VFD wired into our motor, and we're gonna give it a test run here and see what we got as far as torque goes and power and everything else. All right, plug it into the wall. Now this is 220 power, by the way. That's how I prefer to do it. Set to forward. Let's go ahead and hit run. running hard at 40 hertz. Not even all the way to 100 yet. He is cruising. Very nice, very nice. All right, let's chew up some metal, see what this thing can do. So as you can see, this VFD is a very viable option, and I am excited as to what this means for the Revolution 2x72 belt grinder build. It means that we can significantly drop the cost of building this grinder, which was my ultimate goal in testing this VFD. Now, if you're looking for the VFD, I will create a link down below where you can go out on Amazon and buy that, and that is a great way to support my channel. If you're ever interested in supporting my channel, clicking those Amazon links, if you buy something, I get a small commission. So all of those pieces and parts are available down there. You'll be able to find them. And again, you can find the wire and you can find the plug-in at any local Home Depot. But just in case you don't have access to one of those places, or you don't want to go into one of those places, I'll create links for those as well, so that you can buy all that online and have it shipped right to your house. If you got something out of today's video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you click that little bell, you'll get a notification every time I upload something to YouTube. There are numerous ways to support my channel, and by far the best way is to go to my website, housemade.us, and you can purchase the plans and the parts to build the Revolution 2x72, or you can just buy a sticker pack or some merch or something like that out there. That's a great way to support my channel. There's other ways like Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee, and also clicking those Amazon links really does help. It just helps me buy the pieces and parts so that I can run tests like this and keep producing great content for you guys to learn from, and for me it just really gives me purpose. I love this work so much. So that does help. I hope to see you on the next video, guys. It's been a great day here hanging out in the studio with you, and I hope to see you on that next video. My name is Brian House, and this has been Housework.